All right, so got a special bonus video here today. A lot of you said that you wanted to see the coloring of this guy, so I'm going to show that to you, and I'll just kind of talk about it. And I want to talk a little bit more about some of the things discussed with the creative bank account in the last episode. So what you see here, I'm laying in kind of a pinkish reddish color first, and the way that I use Copic markers, I'm not going to say this is the way you're supposed to. I don't know how you're supposed to, but I've never had any training in this, but this is the way I do it. I treat them a lot like watercolors, and the way that watercolors work is you work from your lightest to your darkest, because they're transparent. So if you put down a dark color and you put a light color on top of that, it's not going to be lighter. It's just going to make it darker. So you have to think about how you want your final image to be. You have to sort of start with that in mind. And if you know of areas that are going to be light in color, you're gonna want to start with laying that down with your lightest marker. So what I have here, I think this color is light prawn. That's what it's called, and it's sort of a pinkish salmony color. And I'm just going in here and I'm putting it all down. You'll notice it's a little bit about, I guess, the way I treat design and color together, and that is I like to have little punches of color in my design, and then have areas of you could see here there's the metal parts, so areas of gray and dark, and then these punches of color, and what that does is I use it to sort of emphasize certain aspects of the design and to de-emphasize other things. Now I'm laying in crimson red, and this you could see here there's certain areas that I'm not coloring with the red. Those are the areas that are going to be highlighted. So I'm making those areas, making sure I'm not coloring in those areas. And I'm always thinking at this stage, not that I know exactly where the light is, but superficially I'm just imagining the light is coming from maybe a top 3/4 angle, and just treating it that way. So the last video I posted talked about your creative bank account and things that you can do to fill it. And I asked if you had any ideas on how you fill your creative bank account, to leave them in the comments. And I got some pretty cool responses and some stuff that I'd thought about and didn't mention in the video, but and some things I didn't even think about that totally fill my bank account, but I hadn't really realized that. You could see here I added this bottom reflective shadow on these two pieces, and I'm really wishing I had put it in that front cowling there. I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work to have some of it have the reflective and some of it not. So I think, if I recall, I go back into this later and fill in those kind of bounce areas with something else. And anyways, back to the bank account. So one person suggested music is a good way to fill your creative bank account, and I think that's spot on. I make little folders of music I use Spotify, so I'll make little folders that are project specific. So I'll have music that inspires me to work on Skull Chaser, or I have music that inspires me to work on my next project, Skyheart. I kind of go in and dip into that project off and on, and I'll turn on the music for that and play the songs, and it just gets me pumped, gets me amped to create for that. And then I'll just have music that's my work music. A lot of times I like listening to, when I draw, I'll just listen to podcasts or talk radio or stuff, but music really does feed that creativity. So That was a good one. Another good thing with music is creating music, and sometimes as a release or as a balance to creating visually, I'll mess around in GarageBand and just make up stuff, make up little tunes. I think that works. That definitely can feed you. It could feed your bank. Someone else suggested their kids feed their creative bank account. They get a lot of good ideas from kids, and I actually agree with that. And that is an extension of an overall sort of creative bank account thing. That is having people fill it. Oh, now here you'll see I'm using my white colored pencil. It's just a Prismacolor pencil, and I'm using that to lay in that reflective light. So instead of using the marker to do it, I'm using the pencil. And the way this pencil works is you probably need to go over it a few times to get the right levels of white that you want. I'll add pencil to some of my drawings, whether it's just like a gradient shadow effect or if it's this reflective thing. It kind of works really well for that. And you can see here when you're doing something shiny, you'll usually have like a super highlight, and then you'll have like this reflective light that I'm putting in there that's sort of bouncing off the ground. It's back to people as far as creative filling your creative bank account. So people, I guess there's three different areas. One of them is your own kids, if you have kids, or if your siblings have kids, or friends have kids. They just have a unique way to view the world, and I think it's pretty filling for me. And they'll do things, they'll say things, they'll imagine things that are just like the coolest ideas. Like I drew a series of designs called Tiger Robots last year, 2 years ago, and they were all created by my son Calvin, and he came up with Tiger Robots, and he made up stories for them and stuff, and he came up with Fire Tiger Robot, Freeze Tiger Robot, Rock Tiger Robot, and Flower Tiger Robot, and a bunch of other ones, Laser Tiger Robot, and they're so cool. I had to draw them all. So there's that. The other thing is, anytime you visit relatives, like we all have weird people in our family, or if not weird people, just unique, interesting people in our families. So visiting relatives, visiting family members, you can usually pull stuff from that. And I agree, sometimes it is depending on certain family dynamics and situations, it can be draining, but you can also pull a lot from just the interesting people you have in your family. An extension of that is also genealogy work. And if you read about ancestors and grandparents and the stories that they tell and the journals that they've written, there's just a lot of cool stuff that I think is super interesting. I love it when my dad just tells me about our crazy relatives in West Virginia. So my dad was born in West Virginia, and his family, the Parkers, came from England. So my great-grandfather was English, and I guess looking for a better life or something, came to America, settled in West Virginia. And there my grandfather was a coal miner, hurt his lungs really bad, so they moved out to Arizona. And I don't know, it's just a bunch of crazy stuff. So he was a bus driver, and my grandmother was worked at the cafeteria. So a cafeteria lady and a bus driver are my grandparents on my father's side. Another thing I would do. Oh, so here now I'm using a white pen. I got it from, I don't know what it is. I'll figure out what it is and post it in the links. But this I'm using just for little spots, little hits of highlights. It's super, super opaque, and I love it. So you go in there and you pop those things out, and it looks really cool. And there it is. That's pretty much the pretty much the way I color it. What I'm going to do now is, sorry, it's off screen a little bit. Oh, there we go. I'm going to add the shadow. I'm just using a dark tonal gray for that. What was that else I was going to say about that? Oh, yeah. When you go out and do, I don't know if you guys do this, but every once in a while I'll do community service. So I'll go out and whether it's someone in the neighborhood that needs their house cleaned or lawn mowed or something like that, or you go out and you help out at a soup kitchen or something like that. What happens is you find yourself in the homes or around people that you never would normally find yourself around, and it's just exposure to new ways of thinking, new ways, or the stories. Or I love just hearing stories from some of these people, and it's all basis for your own stories, your own drawings, your own creativity, characters and whatnot. So that's some ways of filling your bank account that I think I talked about last time: music, and then people, whether it's children, relatives, ancestors, and just people that you meet on the street. All right, so here's a close-up of the drawing. I like how it turned out. I mean, it's a little sloppy, but it's in my sketchbook, and it's not meant to be anything super final. But I hope you enjoyed this little bonus video. If you didn't see the other video where I'm drawing the robot, here's a little clip of it. Check it out and listen to what I have to say about filling your creative bank account. I go into a lot more depth on what I talked about here today. And I think that's it. Subscribe if you like this stuff. If you've already subscribed, I appreciate it. And I'll see you next week with a new video. Bye.